admittedly, it's quick. In a matter of less than a month, put together a set of proposals or direction that we could move the federal government that would enhance the possibility that, or lessen the possibility this kind of thing could happen again. We know that it is, there is no silver bullet. There is no, as one of my friends said, no seatbelt that you can put on to assure that you will not be in this circumstance again. But I asked the cabinet to come together, the Attorney General, Homeland Security, Department of Education, Health and Human Services, et cetera, because we know this is a complex problem. We know there's no single answer, and quite frankly, we don't even know whether some of the things people think impact on this actually impact on it or not. And so I want you to know you have not been, quote, singled out for help, but we've asked a whole lot of people. We will be meeting with technology experts because, to overstate the case, there's a lot could change if, for example, every gun purchased could only be fired by the person who purchased it, because it literally would be unable to be fired. That technology exists, but it's extremely expensive. But if that were available on every weapon sold, there's significant evidence that would may very well have curtailed what happened up in Connecticut.
We miss our daughter so much. Our house is quiet, there's someone missing, but we try to do the best that we can. We've started a foundation, Christina Taylor Green Memorial Foundation, in her memory, and we've done amazing things. Funded a lot of youth programs here in Tucson and southern Arizona. So we're proud of the work that we're doing in her memory. I went to Newtown a few days after the tragedy, and I plan on going back on the 14th, and I plan on supporting the people there and their families and offering them any kind of, support and love and prayers that I can, because I live their pain every day and I've gone through it. Our family does own guns. We do believe in the Second Amendment. I don't think our views have changed that much since the shooting. We've always believed that people should have a background check. What we've learned in the last 2 years is that 40% of guns that are purchased in the United States are not required to have a background check. So. Tune in, drop out, I love. I think that what I've been doing lately is getting on board with Mayors Against Illegal Weapons and making sure that the laws that we have on the books right now are enforced, and hopefully in the future possibly have a ban on military-style weapons and high-capacity magazines, because I don't believe those belong in our communities. Pull the trigger. I'm a hippie. 20 heartbroken families lost a child in the Sandy Hook school shooting. I know how much it hurts. My 9-year-old daughter was murdered in the Tucson shooting. I have one question for our political leaders. When will you find the courage to stand up to the gun lobby? Whose child has to die next? To every mother, we cannot wait. We have to demand a plan. Go to demandaplan.org and add your name.
Mayors Against Illegal Guns Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Columbine, Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood.
Newtown.
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 And now to our Newsmaker interview with the Vice President of the United States. I spoke with Vice President Biden this afternoon in the Secretary of War suite at the old Executive Office building in Washington. Are you in favor of federal legislation that would ban the sale of these multi-round cartridges holders?
Jimmy may remember in the old days when I had some real power. I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm the guy that first passed and wrote the assault weapons ban, and also tried to pass legislation relative to the size of magazines. That is those clips that hold all the bullets that get shoved up into the rifle.
31, holds 31 rounds.
And there's all kinds of them, various sizes. So I as a senator and I as a elected official have been on record as supporting, and we did originally have an assault weapons ban in place. But here's what's going on right now in the administration. There are a number of proposals coming forward that are going to be looked at by the Justice Department and the President will speak to as he takes a look at what some of the suggestions are relative to how to deal with what is deemed by most Americans as not appropriate or consistent with the Second Amendment, which we strongly support. But the President has not made a decision on those at this point, and we're just getting the input from the House and the Senate and others, and the Justice Department is looking at it, and the President, as his spokesman has said, will be speaking to those.
But if the President asks you, the answer is going to be yes, ban them, right?
Well, my advice, as you know, you've been doing this so long, if it's going to have any impact, it shouldn't be delivered to him through a news program.
Gotcha.
It should be delivered to him by me personally.
Why didn't the President even mention that in his State of the Union address?
Well, look, there's so many things. I was asked earlier, why didn't the President mention mental health? Why didn't he mention? There's 1,000 things that could have legitimately been mentioned, and had he 10 hours, or this were going to be 5 states of the Union, there's a lot more that could have been mentioned.
Zoom in, cut out at sound, make a film.
Mr. President, you told me during an interview that you, Eddie Holder, did not authorize a Fast and Furious operation that allowed 2,000 weapons from the United States to Mexico, and they were in the drug trafficking hands. I think that up to 100 Mexicans might have died, and also American agent Brian Terry. There's a report that 14 agents were responsible for the operation, but shouldn't Attorney General Eric Holder, he should have known about that, and if he didn't, should you fire him?
Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to understand that the Fast and Furious program was a field-initiated program begun under the previous administration. When Eric Holder found out about it, he discontinued it.
By the way, do you know the differences between Wide Receiver and Fast and Furious?
I mean, do I know that they're different operations?
Right. And so do you know the differences, the factual differences between Wide Receiver and Fast and Furious?
I know that, well, I mean, there are a number of differences, both I think in scope, both in terms of time. The Bush administration was the one that started Wide Receiver. The Obama administration is where Fast and Furious began.
Are you winging this, or do you actually know?
I know this.
You know this? Do you know that Wide Receiver was done in conjunction with the government of Mexico, and the intention of the plan was to follow the weapons, and neither was there the intention to follow the weapons on Fast and Furious, nor did Mexico know that the United States government was allowing guns to walk into the hands of the cartels.
The area of public safety, gun violence, has been on a rampage, as we know firsthand and we know painfully. We must stop the madness, my friends. And in one word, it's just enough. It has been enough.
New York City had a very special day Monday. In the city of more than 8.2 million people, there wasn't a single murder or report of gun or knife violence. No shootings, stabbings, or slashings in the Big Apple.
Police officials said they can't remember the last time that happened. The murder rate has been so low in New York City that the city's on track to record 400 murders this year. That would be the fewest in half a century.
It's quite a turnaround from 2 decades ago when New York saw more than 2,000 murders each year. And just this summer, an uptick in gun violence had the New York Post talking about a jaw-dropping jump in shootings, an epidemic of shootings, and saying the Big Apple just kept getting bloodier. Fast forward a few months and that uptick has vanished. NY1 reports this week's violent crime holiday stretched nearly 37 hours.
On Monday, this rare crime-free streak began at about 10:30 Sunday night and continued until 11:20 Tuesday morning when a 27-year-old man was shot in Brooklyn.
Authorities credit new policies like stop and frisk with making criminals more wary to carry weapons. Whether or not that's the case, WXXA reports there was only one gun casualty Monday.
Police say the day was not completely incident-free. A 16-year-old in the Bronx accidentally shot himself in the leg, but he's okay, and they're not counting that.
For Newsy, I'm Zach Toombs. Multiple sources, The Real Story.
You should know that over the last decade, we've cut major felony crime in this city by 35%. And this year, we're on track to record the lowest number of murders since accurate records first started being kept back in 1963.
We need a gun policy in this state that is reasonable, that is balanced, that is measured. We respect hunters and sportsmen. This is not taking away people's guns. I own a gun. I own a Remington shotgun. I've hunted. I've shot. That's not what this is about. It is about ending the unnecessary risk of high-capacity assault rifles. That's what this is about.
Well, you could say, well, confiscation could be an option, right?
Yeah.
Sale.
We've never done that before, I don't think.
Mandatory sale to the state could be an option.
That's a form of confiscation.
Right. Permitting could be an option.
Yeah.
Keep your gun but permit it. So there are a number of options.
We have a 7-point agenda. Number 1, enact the toughest assault weapon ban in the nation, period.
You didn't love me no more. Yes, I heard that one before. Same thing, same news. You treat me like a fool that you can use. Let me tell you, I won't be kind.
Number 2, close the private sale loophole by requiring federal background checks.
You can put it right there where the sun don't shine. I ain't lying.
Number 3, ban high-capacity magazines. Number 4, enact tougher penalties for illegal gun use, guns on school grounds, and violent gangs. Number 5, keep guns from people who are mentally ill.
Take this and put it away. You can use it another day. Just remember, keep this in mind. You can put it right there where the sun don't shine.
Number 6, ban direct internet sales of ammunition in New York. Number 7, create a state NICS check on all ammunition purchases.